My heading and stronghold in Annapolis, Maryland, and beyond. This is the Recruiter Roundtable Season 3. Every episode is an open discussion for recruiters, headhunters, and talent pros, so feel free to participate or just sit back and listen as we bring you topics, discussion, tips, tricks, and more from both industry dinosaurs like Ernie and noobs alike. Please like and subscribe, and now let's start with the Recruiter Roundtable Season 3, Episode 20, Left and Right of Your Desk and Circle. So, hello, everybody. How is everybody today? We are
good.
We're going to try and what's the word I'm looking for? Keep going with our recession proofing our desk, right? So we talked about the candidate-driven market. We talked about overall, achievements of trying to recession-proof your desk. And then this one is a topic that I kind of like. I get asked about this a lot because this is how I run my desk. Is the left and right and the circle. So to kind of clarify what I mean about left and right and what I mean about circle. So left and right, for example, would be I do a lot of work with architectural sales reps, right? And these are guys and gals who call on architects and get products specified. So that could be metal roofing, for example, or that could be architectural windows, right? For a company like Andersen. And they have great relationships with architects. They understand how products are specified. They understand this breaking a specification, how you break specs with a contractor, when it says barrage manufacturing, standing seam roof profile 7 or equivalent, right? Equivalent helps them break the profile. So knowing that these candidates have relationships with all these architects and they know that, they can sell metal roofing, they can sell architectural windows, they can sell hardscapes, they can sell anything that is specified to architects, and they bring value, right? Because the architects are going to like them, and they're going to say, hey, you loved me last week when I was selling this great metal roofing product. Now I'm selling architectural windows. So there's no conflict of interest of like, well, wait a second, you were here last week and told me how good Andersen windows are, and now you're working for Yawwall windows, and they're better, right? So you don't have that, right? You don't have preconceived notions about the industry, and it will help you if you have an industry that's kind of like nobody's buying windows, but you got a good window candidate, but everybody's buying roofing. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Right? Another example would be building materials, sales guys who call on independent lumber yards. I had a client, Union Corrugating, out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. It was a small metal roofing company with like 8 locations, and they sold primarily to independent lumber yards, independent home centers. And they sold metal roofing, light gauge metal roofing, the stuff you see on pole barns, chicken coops, and stuff like that. And we started looking at competitors, and we had the preconceived notions. I don't want to work for Union. They don't do any architecture or whatever it was. And then talking to the VP of sales, he says, what about guys selling to independent lumber yards? I said, that's a great idea. So you know what I did? I called all the purchasing managers of these independent lumber yards, started asking them, who sells you nails? Who sells you trusses? Who sells you plumbing supplies, right? And got lists and lists of people. Did you know the Ferguson sales reps cover like a 3-state territory calling all the independent lumber yards, and they're lucky if they make like 60 grand? My client was paying like 100. So we were able to get a guy from Ferguson. We got a guy selling trusses named Pokey Black, P-O-K-E-Y, Pokey Black. And at first, they didn't want to call him Pokey. They wanted him to go by his original name, which was William. But everybody in the state knew him as Pokey, so they changed his business cards to Pokey, because that's how everybody knew him. I still remember Pokey. Oh, we used to call him Pokey from the old Next Friday movies. So that's the left and right? That's like looking at what your candidates, right, and what your niche is, and can you go left and right of that niche, right? Can can they sell to different architects, or can they program different things, or in manufacturing, maintenance, right? They've been maintaining lots of food manufacturing. Can they do water manufacturing? Or water bottle manufacturing, right? If they're metal roofing manufacturers, can they do window manufacturing, right? Is it similar machines, similar equipment? Does that candidate add value to a different industry? Like, that's recession proofing your desk, because if one industry's down, you can move to another. Now, granted, if all of building materials are down, I'm fucked, but you kind of get the idea what I'm talking about. So the other one is how I run my desk is a circle, right? Or we can call it a pyramid. There are 3 points, right? And I'm not going to give the whole farm away, so I'm going to kind of make this relevant to everyone. Let's say you place land development engineers, civil engineers who do land development. And you've been doing that in consulting. You're working with all these land development companies that are doing commercial and residential land development. When they say land development, you're talking about big complexes, right? Like big communities or big roadways and all that stuff, right? So those candidates are constantly engineering stuff, and they're also they're designing the products, right? Pipe that goes in the ground, concrete, curbs, stormwater systems. Well, you know what? All those products are manufactured, and those manufacturers hire engineers. For example, if you're a civil engineer, the companies like Rinker Materials, Cemex, Contex Pipe, all have civil engineers in-house, right? And those guys design the products. So you'll be like the technical expert at Rinker Materials or the technical expert at Contex Pipe that the consulting firms call up. And if you used to be an engineer at a consulting firm, guess what? You can say, I was on the other side of the table. I understand what you're going through. Like Rinker loves that. Rinker loves to hire people like that, right? They have pavement engineers as well for the pavement side. Then the contractors, right? The guys who are actually doing the work, the general contractor or the subcontractor that installs a stormwater system or installs a manhole, right? Those manholes actually have machines inside of them that filter the water in some cases, right? Or the piping or whatever. Those contractors hire engineers too, right? For field evaluations, for in-house design to help with making the design better, quicker, faster, whatever it is, or to just in general make their designs, compatible with the consulting firm that's given them. So if you have a civil engineer, and you can move them through those three different pyramid points, right? So consulting, manufacturing, and contracting. And here's the thing that I love. Selling a civil engineer who's doing land, who's got 5 years experience in his PE, and he's doing land development projects in Fairfax, Virginia, working for SVT. You call him up and say, hey, I've got this great opportunity with Kimley Horn in Fairfax, Virginia, or in Alexandria, Virginia, doing the same projects you're doing, with the same clients you're working with, for the same type of stuff for maybe $10,000 more. That's hard to pull that guy away. So I'm leaving to do everything I'm doing now just for a raise. But how about I have an opportunity with Contex or with Rinker Materials, still in civil engineering, but guess what? You're out of consulting. You're out of billable hours, right? You're out of dealing with shitty ass architects all the time. You're actually working for the manufacturer now, and you're the technical expert. You're still doing civil engineering. You're still doing land development, but now you're at the manufacturer. And guess what? They don't work on billable hours. They work on actual profits, so they make more money. But you're not shying away from what you love in civil engineering. That's a better sell. And the same thing goes on the contractor side, right? Or if you want to steal somebody from a manufacturer, aren't you sick and tired of working for the same manufacturer, doing the same project, the same plate, the same over and over? How about coming to work for this consulting firm I got in Fairfax? It's doing a lot of different projects. They're doing all the different types of land development in commercial, residential, institutional, governmental. That could kind of, make things a little better for you. Would be interested in that. Does that make sense what I'm saying? How you can focus in your industry. Is there a pyramid? Like if you're doing architectural sales, right? Like, can you move them around? Or if you're doing civil engineering or mechanical engineering, if you're doing mechanical engineering and you're working with consulting firms, there are mechanical engineering manufacturers, HVAC companies, trains, company like that, right? And then there are subcontractors, mechanical subcontractors that hire engineers. So that's what I talk about, the circle and then the left and right. Does anybody have any questions, ideas, stuff that you can actually, Brent, and stuff you can, like, hey, Tom, I do this or I do that, or any ideas you want to throw into the group, please.
Go ahead.
Anyone?
Anyone?
I can't keep talking.
I used to do that when I recruited in accounting and finance. I would do that in that field. When you would have people that were in Big Four or a consulting, it was really difficult to do public accounting to public accounting. It was a very hard sell because it was just like that. The only upside was a raise. Other than that, you're still doing the billing hours. You're still working 80 hours a week, and there's really no difference. The only factor would be the culture. So I would always pick those people out and tell them, hey, look, you have more predictable hours going in-house. It's better quality of life, and your comp actually still might increase. And those things, same thing, and then vice versa. I would do that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you can like that's a great example. Accountants or every big company needs an in-house. They need a controller. They need maybe an accounting supervisor. Then eventually they'll need a CFO, and those all tend to be accountants, right? So selling that opportunity is a great idea. Or someone who's a controller at a company that's not doing well and they got their CPA, you could pull them into a Big Four or a small accounting firm. That's a great example. And that's the kind of thing I wanted to kind of reiterate is all of you have your niche, but where can you move outside your niche, either in the left or right paradigm or the circle paradigm, that would allow you to easier attract candidates, right? It's much easier, as Joel was saying, to take a guy out of accounting and put him into a in-house and vice versa than it is moving from one accounting firm to another. Go ahead, Ernie.
You know, and somebody that's kind of new to this or whatever, or to their recruiting would say, well, that's easy for you to say because you've been doing this for like up 10 years. So how would I do it? I don't know. And
you gotta start somewhere.
one way to do it is if you get into AI, whichever one you decide to use, and just ask it, I'm in the food industry, what relates to it that I could put somebody, and then it'll ask you, it'll tell you, and then it'll tell you, would you like insights on job titles, career transitions between industries? And then you do that. And then I guess my point is either like thoughts you get from here or ideas that someone throws out. If you have an idea with it, then go with it and try to make it unique to what you're doing, and you'll find you have a lot of ideas. I find that a way of brainstorming with myself by going to ChatGPT or Perplexity or one of those and getting ideas and go, crap, I didn't know I could do that. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm going to check into this, and if I like it, I like it, and you just ask yourself, I wonder if.
I'm doing a ton of that right now, just trying to learn my new niche and asking it what a hiring leader would want to see out of the ideal candidate in what
I have a GPT I'll send you that'll make you an ideal candidate profile or ideal client persona that will give you all the pain points, what keeps them up at night, and those type of things. I have that I can help you with.
Great. Sweet.
Buck, you had a question?
Yes, sir. So that's actually been coming up with candidates lately, as like they're open to potentially consulting or contract. But how do you differentiate, or like especially with the billing between a consultant and a contractor? If you're, if a company wants to do, is it like a project basis for consulting versus hourly for contract? Or
I'm sorry, Buck, I don't understand what you're saying.
Contracting and consulting are very similar.
Right.
The difference would be basically it's if they're paid by the hour or paid by the project. That's how I would say.
Okay, cool. That's what I thought. Thanks.
Yeah, I wasn't. And guys, I don't actually have a GPT because I use Typing Mind to have an agent, right? So I don't know if I could share it unless you're using Typing Mind. But if you want me to do a ideal candidate profile for you, you know me, I'm always willing to share, and I will do that for you. You can call me or send me an email. 772-532-9785 is my cell. My email is thomas@prsearchinc.com, and I can help you build it. It's not hard, right? But the prompt that I have is really okay. Buck, I'll send it. Is really big, right? So, Kelly, you already have it. It's my email.
I know everything about it.
Yeah. So the idea behind, and I don't want to get off on a tangent here, but Joel, Joel had mentioned is that kind of, yes, but my prompts.
AI Prompt Genius is a AI tool you can use to save and share your prompts.
The ideal client persona or ideal client profile is it'll ask you, what do you do, who do you sell to, what industry you work, and it'll put together, like, for example, like a construction manager's name is Brent Nelson, and Brent Nelson is a VP of construction, and he's in California, and he does this, that, and the other thing, and this is how big his staff is, this is how big his company is, and this is what keeps him up at night, this is what he has issues with hiring, and these are the reasons why. And then from there, you can take that and put it into what's called a problem matrix, and it'll give you a good understanding of all the problems that are in there, the root causes, and then how you can solve those problems. And then you can take the problem matrix and put it into a gap selling prompt, which will then create a really good scripting thing to help you sell, if you're not doing an MPC presentation, to actually sell services to him, the benefits versus features. Like, I'm wonderful and great, and I've been recruiting for 20 years, versus we help two companies reduce their hiring times by X, Y, and Z because they're having the same problems you were having, right? I'm assuming you're having the same problems with them, because we're seeing this in the industry all the time, that all the construction companies can't find, chief bottle washers because of the lack of talent and the downtime, yada yada yada, right? There's all this stuff that's in there that I'm kind of rambling, but it'll make a lot more sense to you once I show it to you. And guys, all that's if I can look and see if I'll share what I can, but you can build these own GPTs yourself. You can ask ChatGPT, help me build out a ideal client profile. There are places you can go on the internet that have prompt builders, right? I don't know. I haven't used a lot of them, but a lot of times if I want something, I will just talk everything that I want in something. I will just talk it into because I have voice to text on my computer. I will just talk into the ChatGPT box or the Typing Mind box. Okay, so I was evaluating someone's campaign, and I just talked everything I thought was wrong with the campaign, was right with the campaign, what they needed to fix in the campaign. I said all of that, and they said, okay, here, make this sound better, and organize it better. Boom, and it prints it out for me. I did a cold call cheat sheet 2 weeks ago, right? I just talked everything I know about cold calling, everything, right? The rebuttals, the overcoming objections, how to call, everything I could remember. I just talked, and it was this giant long wall of text. And I said, here, make me a cold call cheat sheet out of this. And boom, it made it for me. So a lot of times you don't even need a prompt. You can just talk everything you want into ChatGPT and it'll give it to you. And as Ernie was saying, to stay back on this, recession-proofing your desk, you can say, hey, this is my niche, right? Or this is the industry I work. I'm a headhunter and I work in consulting, engineering, civil and structural. What are other industries that use civil and structural engineers outside of consulting, construction, manufacturing, IT? Where are candidates of value that have backgrounds in civil and structural? Just start talking like that and it will answer you. It doesn't have to be a prompt, right? You can actually just talk to it and just keep asking it questions. And then if it responds back with, okay, well, here's, and then you can say, what about this, ChatGPT? Would this be a good idea? Or how would I do that? Like, that's the kind of cool thing about it is everybody wants to use prompts, but a lot of times you can just kind of just let loose in this diarrhea of information about wanting to expand my desk, the left and right of my desk, or my circle that I was on a round table, and there's this guy Tom, he's talking about this circle, and he works, civil engineers and civil engineering manufacturing, civil engineering construction. I want to do this with accounting. How would that apply, right? And then see what it does for you. That's what's great about these large language models. There's also Claude, there's Gemini, there's ChatGPT, there's DeepSeek, and there's probably 60 or 70 other ones you guys don't know about if you go to OpenRouter that you can use as well, or use Perplexity and have them do a deep research for you. I mean, there's so many tools out there. Llama's good too. Gronk, yep. Dolphin, TARS, Microsoft's got one, right, with this piece of crap. But yeah, there's a lot out there you can do.
The other thing I was going to add to that is, well, I gotta let you see my face here. It's not fair.
Well, actually, I think it's show off your tattoo day, because Buck, look at Buck. I mean, so hey, can I?
No, the other
I
thing.
assumed Ernie had a tattoo.
Where I come from, tattoos are a different thing. You guys come from nicer environments. But anyway, the thing I would tell you, that if you get a result that you like in doing, say, ChatGPT, at the end of it, just ask it, this is like, great, I love this. Just say, please write a prompt based on this whole conversation.
That's a great idea, Ernie.
It'll then give you the results, and it's pretty good. And so I'll use that.
I'm Italian. I talk with my hands. What do you want me to do? There's a great video I saw, like way more Italian than me, from Italy, and his wife is American. She said, "Can you sit on your hands for a second?" And started talking to him and told him he couldn't, and he was struggling talking because he couldn't move his hands.
Did you see that movie, Nona? You got to watch it.
No.
Oh, that was a good show.
It's a good show. Yeah. Overall, I think you can play with this stuff, and you can.
Oh, and look,
be creative.
I don't work for Typing Mind, right? I don't get any money from Typing Mind, but Typing Mind is the way to go because of the cost is so much cheaper if you want access to more than something than just ChatGPT, right? So it's the same setup as ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, meaning there's a box and all your conversations are saved, but you can switch between the large language models like that. And you're only paying for usage, right? So if you had Claude, Gemini, and ChatGPT, it's $60 a month for the 3 versions, right? I have access to all that and more, and I've never paid more than $13 a month for all the large language models I'm using. Like I'll use ChatGPT for a while, I'll switch over to Claude, I'll go to Gronk, I'll go to DeepSeek. Go ahead, Jordan.
If you guys pay for like G Suite, you will have like Gemini already built into like your platform that you pay for. You can connect to that, and it's not charging me credits to use Gemini because I already pay for it.
Well, the thing about Google is a lot of their stuff's still free, even
Yeah.
on Typing Mind, right? Like, so right now, the best one is 2.5 experimental. It's friggin' amazing. It's still free.
Yeah.
It blows
I think-
everybody, all the other ones away research wise, and I can't believe like my Google bill. So my ChatGPT bill since September, October, I've probably spent maybe $30, right? On Claude, I've spent 20. On Google, I've spent 0. In fact, my $10 expired because I didn't use it in enough time. So, and I use 2.5 a lot, right? So I don't know how they. Maybe it's because I signed in with my PR Search LLC email, right, which is my Google email. So maybe they know that I'm I have 3 different Google suites or whatever. I got one for the business and then one for the roundtable. So maybe they know that, and that's why I'm not getting charged. But I don't get charged, so I like that. And DeepSeek's free too, right? So you put $10 on DeepSeek's API, and they never charge you. And it's also Open Router. If you guys need help with that, I can help you. If you guys have Typing Mind and you want to add all the free, there's about 40 free large language models out there that are free of charge, that you can get an API key through Open Router and then add them to Typing Mind. So then you can just click through them and try them as you see fit, right? Some are good, some are bad, some are really good for I'll do that too, Brent. Yeah, some are really good for research, some are good for writing, some are good. One's just strictly for programming. If you ask anything, it says this is not programming. I can't answer this question. So it's kind of neat, when you're doing that. And that's to piggy off of Ernie's thing. In Typing Mind, if you have a really good conversation, you can regenerate it with 2 or 3 different models to see if you get even better conversation. That's what I like about it, right? Is I can say, what results am I going to get from this, right? And if it gives me the results and it looks okay, I can then click to Claude and say regenerate, and maybe it's even better results, or to DeepSeek and it's even better, or go back to ChatGPT and do it again, right? That's kind of what's cool about it. And I know this isn't a recession proofing your desk, but just kind of wanted to focus on that. Does anybody have any questions about the recession proofing wise, the left and right, or the pyramid or circle that we talked about? And if not, I'll open it up as we usually do to just anything you guys want to talk about recruiting wise.
Okay.
Or we can talk amongst ourselves. We can listen to music. Let's see. Let's see some new stuff that I've discovered in the past couple days. So at Notebook LM, if everybody knows about Notebook LM, that's Google's kind of forte into something like maybe like Perplexity, I guess, or whatever. But it's what's kind of cool about Notebook LM is that you can put any link in there, and it'll if it's a link to a website or a YouTube video or even text or whatever, right? It will let you ask questions about it, right? So you could watch one of the roundtable videos, it's an hour and a half long, or you could drop it into Notebook LM and say, what are the most important things about this video, right? Or what are the most important things about, say it's the MPC video that we do, that's got one of the higher view counts, like 1,000 people have viewed it. Like, what is the most what is the most important things to pull out of this, or what was everybody talking about? You can do that, right? Also, if there's something you're really excited about and you want to read it, but you don't have time to read, you can drop it into Notebook LM and it'll turn it into an audio podcast for you.
That's the best part.
Yeah. And you can also move it. There's a new one called Illuminate, Google Illuminate, that does an even better job, but you can't drop text in there yet. It's strictly just for a link. Like, so if you wanted to put a link to a website you wanted a lot of information on, you could put it in there and it would turn it into a podcast. So those are kind of 2 cool new things that I discovered. Well, I've known Notebook for a while, but the Illuminate is kind of the new one. Also, Manus and Cortex Suna, thanks Dominic, are blowing Perplexity away, and these go way above and beyond anything that the other ones are doing. You can actually get Manus or Cortex to build you a website, right? It will do so much for you. Now, this gets expensive quick. Use your credits up quick, but give it a try. Manus is MANUS and MANUS, and Cortex is KORTIX space SUNA. And then also, I go into YouTube and put in, Cortex Suna or Manus, and all these videos will pop up of use cases or making money off of it or making video, all kinds of stuff you can do with it. That's another cool thing too, with people are sharing a lot of new information. Hey, what's up, Alan? Dan, what's up? You're up, Dan.
Morning.
You're on mute, Dan. Yeah, if everybody looks in the chat, Dominic built this in 1 hour.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. What's up?
Hey, I got a question. I'm talking to this. Has anyone heard of Oculus Group?
Yes.
Okay. What do you know about them? As far as I know, they take recruiters that are solo recruiters and they kind of join them together. They're like one of those companies where you kind of work together on different orders and you share candidates, things like that. So do you have any experience with them, working with them, or no? Do you know anybody?
Heard of them.
Okay. So have you guys ever tried anything like that where you kind of share your, I don't know, it's not a split. It's not really a split. You're kind of working for this company, but you are still running your own business. I don't know.
What is the split that they give you? If you work on one of their jobs, what's
so it's you get 70% of everything you bill. So it's
okay.
Candidate, you bring a client in, you can have you bring a client in, and you can and you don't have to always give them your clients. Like, you can work on them yourself. If you think, oh, I can fill this one, I'm not going to share it, that's fine, which I thought was pretty cool. But
whose agreement are you signing? Whose agreement is the client signing?
They would sign the Oculus. I believe they sign the Oculus Group.
There's your key.
Yeah. Okay. Good question. Okay. And then they do pay for your LinkedIn. But they don't. It's 100% commission. It seems like they've got a lot of different industries they work with, and they give you some autonomy there, which is great. But
it looks like they're going after people who are working at other companies, because it says, bill the same, earn 3 times more, right? Which is basically they're going after people who are only getting like 30 or 40% at their current firm. Which again, this is not a bad. This is kind of how I run my business. Tony and Melanie and Jeff, who work with me, they keep 90% of everything they bill. I keep 10%. I do the invoices, and they pay me $200 a month, and they get access to the full Loxo suite, email account through 365, a phone line, their face on the website, and me for like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever they need, right? So I'm, if Tony needs something, we work together. I help Tony close one of his clients, right? I help Melanie close clients, right? So the idea is just, I wanted to run my business like a real estate agency more, right? Like I'm the broker, and I got a bunch of real estate guys working for me, right? That's basically what it is.
Right.
I tried the other way, right? And then COVID hit, and I lost a lot of money. So
yeah. Well, this keeps people hungry too, right? Because like you're still working hard, trying to make, but you have, you got more going on than just one person trying to do both sides. It's kind of hard sometimes. So I was just curious.
The question you should ask them is, what am I getting for? If I make a $20,000 deal, what am I getting for $6,000? Right? What does the 30% pay for? Besides, unless they're giving you a LinkedIn recruiter seat, right?
No, you'll get 70%. You'll get, if it's your deal.
I know, but what am I getting
for giving them the 30%?
Yeah. What am I getting?
Well, that's the thing. That's where it seems like it's a lot to take, I thought, too. But they, like I said, they give you LinkedIn, and they're giving you maybe orders or more, people to work on your orders if you can't fill them. I did talk to someone who still has her side business, which I was surprised. She still has her own business, but then she works with them when things are slow. But
so if you have a search, right?
Yeah.
For a bottle washer. Okay? Yeah. And the fee is $20,000, and someone else fills it, right? So then the fee is $20,000 cut in half. So 10,000 to you and 10,000 to the person affiliate minus 30%. So
Right.
7,000, right?
Right.
So that's my question is going to be, what are you, besides a LinkedIn recruiter seat, which is it LinkedIn Recruiter?
Yeah, it's LinkedIn Recruiter. There's like 100 emails a month, so that's pretty good.
So that's $500. Like that's 6,000 a year that you're saying that I'm getting. If I bill 300,000 with you guys, what am I getting for $90,000?
Right, right.
What else? Do they have an ATS? Right?
Yeah,
with
they
me,
do.
you get the ATS, unlimited credits, you get email, and it's only $200 a month, and you keep 90%. Like, so what are they doing for that 30%? Are they
And how
mentoring
many-
you? Are they helping you close anything? Are you
Yeah.
on their website? Right?
Just
Are
using their
you-
platform, right? You're just using their platform.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
but
you know- sorry, go ahead.
well, I mean, a few questions are popping up here. I mean, number one, how to say this? If you're bringing in clients, Tommy, give me enough rope to hang myself here. I was at an agency one time where there were great fees, but the problem was it was 80% to the candidate side of the deal, 20% to the client side of the deal.
Yes.
Which engendered even the account managers to not go out and get clients, and engendered them to bank candidates and just be shoving resumes around all day. You got to have clients to do that with.
Right.
And I'm wondering, Dan, if there's a way to discover with this organization, once you put in, I don't know, let's say Nestle needs a financial analyst, it's 100,000, like the numbers that Tommy said. All of a sudden, does Nestle get buried by other Oculus offices because somebody did the hard work?
I see what you're saying.
Dan did the hard work, but now
Yeah.
Dan doesn't even, no offense, Dan doesn't even have the agreement in his name with Nestle.
Right. Yep. That did worry me because I was thinking if I did bring some of my clients over, maybe they could fill some of my jobs that I don't cover. Like if it's a law firm, I mainly do IT. Well, they could do all the attorneys and all that stuff. But you're right. I'm giving up my client. And then if it doesn't work out, I probably won't get that client back, you know?
Then you know what?
Yeah. How do they keep like the relationships and everything? Because you're working under the Oculus Group brand,
Right.
And all these recruiters, like with me, like for example, and I'm not trying to tell you to work with me. I'm just giving you an example. With us, we're all kind of friends. We all know each other, right?
Yeah.
And I, the controls there, right? And also make sure, like Tony works one area, Melanie works another area, I work another area. There's no overlap, right? We're not stealing from one another. There's no worry about that.
Right.
But these ones here, I'm looking through they got a ton of recruiters.
They have
Like,
about 100.
So like how if Andrea Cottrell, right? She works global advertising agencies. What if there's another recruiter? Do they have 3 different recruiters working global advertising agencies, and maybe they all have relationships with the same client? Who gets paid on that?
That's tricky. Yeah, that's one thing I was wondering for sure. And the one thing that was pretty cool though with their CRM or whatever you want to call it, when you go on LinkedIn, they have a notification if someone's in their database already. It like the candidate will say like it's a red dot. And
All
that means,
ATSs have that.
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I work by myself, so I haven't seen
Yeah,
that.
like
I think that
Loxo,
was-
for example, if I go into LinkedIn and I look at a person, the Loxo Chrome extension will be black if there's not in there, and blue if they are in there.
Okay, that's
Kinda that
okay.
simple.
So that's how you claim it, I guess. And they don't their CRM. You don't put, like I talked to someone, they don't really put candidates in there necessarily. That they'll just kind of like a LinkedIn profile is synced up, but it's not like all your notes are synced from your email and stuff like that. So that's sort of in your.
Can you see your notes in your ATS?
You can see your notes. Yeah, you can see the notes.
Nobody else can.
I think no, everybody can see your notes, but it's not tracking your emails and things like that. You know, like how.
That's I would want that. Like that's the other thing too. Like I love that I go into my applicant tracking system. I can look at a candidate or look at a client and see all the history, all the emails, everything. Like I
thought that was a little, So I'm glad I'm talking to you guys. This is kind of talking me out of it, to be honest. They've only been. I noticed a lot of the recruiters. I'm talking to a girl at 3 today just to see what her experience is like. But I've talked to 2 of them so far. And they've only been there about a year, so it's definitely a new model, new company as far as growing, but they're up to like 95. Part of the other benefits they offer, which is kind of cool, if you bring somebody in, you get 5% of what that person bills for a year. And then if they, and it stops there though. So it's not like a total like pyramid scheme. Like then that person you brought in, if they bring somebody in, they make 5% off that person. So it's not like you have this tree of people underneath you. So you know, and then the other thing is they have this like law firm business that they're doing the same type of model. So it's like, you know, small lawyers joining to one big company, and that's a branch of their company. So if you get an attorney to come work for them, then you get like 7% of their book of business. So that could, I mean, that can be a lot. But again, it's convincing an attorney to come on board, lose some money, you know, if they don't want to do the back office and all that. And that does sound like it's a pretty good chunk they take, right? From what you guys are saying.
That's my biggest issue is that I want to know what I'm getting for 30%, right? That would be my first.
Dan, let me ask the
Sure,
ultimate
please.
question. Okay,
Yeah.
nobody's asking. Say you put all your stuff in there, right?
Right.
What can you take out?
Well, I mean, I guess you would know the clients that they work with, right?
No. I'm saying, if do you have such an agreement with these people? Like I do the same thing that Tom did, and I probably presented that idea to Tom before. We discussed.
Yeah, I got it from you.
Yeah, we discussed how people join companies, agencies, and they get their 30% or their whatever they get, 40,
Right.
50. And they look and say, shit, I built $600 trillion and I got $100 from this company.
That's what happened to me with Robert Half. I think
So
That's cyber coders too. Cyber coders take 70%.
yeah, that's what Robert Half.
okay, so that being said, someone then says, now I got to get out of here
Yeah,
because I'm good. Then what happens is now you get this non-compete that everyone says, hey, I don't care because they can't enforce it and all this other stuff. But the reality of it is, it doesn't matter whether or not they can enforce it. If they can take you to court, they can just, you know, I don't have to, if I got the money, I don't have to win. I just have to sue the shit out of you and you got to defend it. Okay. So that being said,
Yeah.
Can you work with an agency or can you work with other recruiters that you agree to say, you know what, when I leave, you can take any shit you want. You can take it all. I don't care. Because what it amounts to, Dan, is this. We all have the same people. We all have the same access to the information. It's just who can make the best cake given the same ingredients.
right. Good
And
point.
can you make it sing? And so what you want to do is whatever you get into, how do you, if you and I get into an argument, how can you go away and you and I still become friends, but you start your own business? Or if the other person passes away, different people get in there, then why do my whole life has to change? We get into this business because we want to control our lives, period.
Right. Right.
So what you need to do is have that same attitude. I'll give you everything I got, but shit, I need to get out of there.
Right.
And you know, and you make it, you do as David Marr says, you make it your own way and you do it. But don't get yourself stuck into something that you're giving yourself away. You might as well go join another company, become an internal recruiter.
Well, I'm not sure what their agreement is because it's the strange thing is I texted this girl on LinkedIn. I said she worked there. So I was trying to find people to talk to. I've talked to like 3 so far. 2 of them are very new, so they didn't have much opinion. And then one girl said, "No, I still have my own business." I said, "I saw on LinkedIn you're working at Oculus plus this other business you had." She goes, "No, yeah, I still have that, but it was slow at the end of the year last year, so I joined them. You know, they pay for my LinkedIn, and I kind of try to do some business with them, but I still have my own thing on the side." I was like, "That's really weird. I don't know how she does it."
Dan, call me. I just sent you a LinkedIn.
Yeah, I'm looking at this.
Connect.
Like,
You
the
call me.
majority of the
I'll
people
give
who are
better
there are
news.
3 months. The majority of the people who have been there for 3 months.
Yeah, it's very short. Yeah, that's when I started to research. I'm like, it says 2024, like December maybe, or like, you know, maybe even this year. So, and then I started to think maybe they're up to 95 because everybody's selling. You know, it's like that pyramid. Are they all trying to just get people to work there? And
I think it is. Like,
nobody's really doing business, you know.
See, Dan, the trick is this: if you own that business, the trick is to do it and set it up so I don't have to do any work.
Yeah.
And if I can do that and get you to hop here and them hopping there and everybody doing it, and I make a little piece, as my friend would say, who was very cool, he goes, all he wants a taste. That's all. And I love that saying, just give me a taste. And that's what agency recruiters who really treat you with that 30 to 40% are just saying.
Yeah.
I'm going to get more than a taste. I'm going to get a big bite.
So
your job is,
here. Go ahead, I'm sorry, Ernie, go ahead.
no, so your job is to build your life understanding I got to be in complete control. And if I'm not, I'm walking away. And if it sounds too good, I'm still going to walk away, because that's the trick of the trade, you know? So like when I'm listening to you to say, I go, shit, I run away. It does not sound good. There are better ways to do it.
Well, did you look on the, review platforms like
there's nothing on there. Yeah, I looked on Glassdoor. I mean, they seem so new.
Trustpilot?
No,
this company has not been, Kelly, I'm looking through, I'm on Navigator right now. They have 96 employees. The majority of them have been there the large majority have been there less than a year. And there are people like who are there at Oculus Group. And then before that, they were in-house or real estate agents. Most of these people are not recruiters in the sense of like what we do. They are ex-HR, ex-talent acquisition, that were working in-house.
Right.
And they want to go off on their own. So,
and they said those people don't work out as well. I think those are the ones.
Every single one of them is those though. Like, I have not come across a single person who has any significant experience like the team that's here.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question, Dan.
Yeah.
What's motivating you to look at that opportunity?
My business is slow. I've been in IT for a while, 15, 17 years now. So my business has been slow. And just trying to get out of my slump basically. So, and I thought, maybe I'll, network with some other people and get it going,
You mind if I challenge you for a second?
Sure.
No, don't do that. Not here. Not here.
Okay. Okay. Seriously, Ernie,
challenge him. Challenge him.
Okay.
Thought you wanted to fight him or something. Come on.
The cage match.
I got a busted
MMA.
shoulder. I got a busted shoulder. I can't challenge him right now. Have you done cyber, Dan? I would suspect there are a couple of areas that I know it's tough out there. I haven't done tech in a million years. I get that. But I have, a billion years ago, I did cyber work and security work. And it was the one thing that I would tell candidates, this is like the insurance business. This is like, this is like a church, the companies need this. Banks are required to have X number. You used to be required to have X number of cyber employees per ratio per employee. I don't know if you've done it. I don't know if there are areas that are growing.
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that. My last 3 placements were cyber, actually. So yeah, that was I do that. That's one of the, like you said, it's one of the ones that's doing well. The rest of the IT roles are I don't know if it's AI or just layoffs. They're downsizing, and I'm trying to pivot. I guess I could just stick with security across the country, but pivot. Obviously trying to figure out what's hotter, and because the jobs aren't there right now. It's been over a year that things really slowed down. Maybe when AI came out. No, I'm just kidding.
But again, let me chat. This is just questioning here. Ernie, knock it off. You're going to owe me beers. I would suspect that within cyber there are niches that are they're not going away. And I mean, is there an opportunity for you to try and niche down a little bit more, or I mean, the way I got into cyber was cyber within the electricity business, and that was just and true story. I'm going to date myself here. There was only one trade magazine. I went to the public library. I looked at the last 12 months of the trade magazines. I wrote down every article. I made a copy of every article that was written about security, and then I separated them between the authors and the workers, the security people that wrote the issues. I cold called every single one of those security professionals that wrote an article, and it turned out one of them was Tommy, and Tommy asked where we were talking, and he was like, "Oh my God, Alan, I know that project you're talking about. I'd love to." And we kept talking, and it turned out Tommy was a relative of a kid I went through 12 years of school with, and he broke open all these leads.
That's funny.
And
Wow.
I'm just saying, cyber is not going anywhere. I
Yeah.
don't know if you could. I don't know, and I'm not trying to.
No, it's a great.
It's
It's a good idea because I understand most of it, you know, a lot of it. So, and then, you know, since I have had a few placements, I had a law firm, I had a financial firm, and then what was the other one? Oh, the other one's like two financial firms and a law firm that were looking for these people.
What's the fear and the headache for the law firm that you're solving putting in a security person? Because you're not focusing on putting in the skills, you're focusing on solving the headaches and what's keeping them up at night. That's, I mean, I always remember going to when I did tech, I went to everything I could, and I went to a firewall presentation of 3 companies because it was free pizza. And the first 2 companies just talked about their products. And the third guy got up, and it was this guy named Tom. It was Tommy and Brett, and they got up and they're, we'll talk about our product. We'll talk about it, but we want to show you a couple of things. They spent 2/3 of the presentation talking about how hackers got in. They talked about how penetration testing works, how they break in, and what the cost of fixing it is horrendous. And by the time they were done and the pizza was eaten and everybody's going to the tables, those people, the third presenters, Tommy and Brett, scared the bejeebers out of these people so badly that all the lines were at that table, and there weren't too many people at the other ones.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate the advice. That's a really good idea, actually. Just instead of being so general in IT, just, you know, those jobs are kind of gone anyway. This is what was the one? Data analytics. Those jobs used to be hot a year or 2 ago. Those guys are getting laid off. So yeah, a lot of stuff like that. But anyway, thanks for the advice, guys. I'll definitely take it.
Tommy, I need a favor.
Yeah.
Can I see your agreement when we get a minute? No. I'm out of my company.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. I'll help you. I got retained. I got engaged. I got contingency. I got them all.
Okay.
Are you officially out of corporate now, Alan?
Wasn't by choice.
Oh, really? You were an internal recruiter?
8.5 years.
Oh, wow.
He's got both, like I do.
Yeah.
But someone that gets it. That's why I was shocked that you came on here. I didn't think to invite you before.
Oh, he's been on a couple times. Alan actually was a guest.
Yeah.
Joel just got out of corporate.
Hey, Alan, what is your experience in temp and contract staffing in the construction industry? I asked you that question. You didn't respond.
Oh, I didn't? Did you ask it here or today?
I sent you an email.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, so
Great recruiter, Dan.
So what, temp versus perm?
No. Yeah, So I was wondering, how often did your company? You were a big GC, right?
Yeah.
How often did you use temp or contract labor?
Almost. Okay. There's 2 answers to that. A, almost never, except project site specific for like a general laborer. That was it. And
so never estimators, project managers, designers, nothing like that.
Not our company. And yeah. And I know there are companies that talk. I don't know what sectors might use it. I could see some areas where that could be beneficial there, because like in VDC and in other areas, a couple of different areas, they're starting to become offshore solutions. You're paying 30 cents on the dollar for certain tasks to be done. But yeah, I know you guys do. You guys offer temp staffing.
Well, I've never secured a single temp or staff contract, and I'm wondering, is it because the industries I work really don't use them? Like I've asked none of my clients that I've talked to, like, hit or miss. Oh, once in a while. My biggest client, never, ever.
Well, you got to think. I mean, will it never happen? I don't know, but yeah, you're right. This is one industry where the use of temp and staffing and hourly, except at the really low end, is almost nothing.
I would think they would, with all the deportations, they're going to be hurting for labor, right?
Labor,
No.
yeah.
No?
Well,
Really?
it depends. I mean, look, it depends. It's if you want to, I mean, I haven't heard of the deportations happening in construction, but it may happen.
Florida, they just attacked like 27 different construction companies, went in and rounded up a bunch of people. Florida's going to be in big trouble.
Well, then Florida, you're going to have an opportunity. You know,
Yeah.
there's also points in time, Kelly, where there is one. I think there's one road that might be opportunistic. It would be a laborer, but there's some programs with prisons that we looked into a lot of years ago, and I talked to a couple of the companies. Now, we chose not to go that route, but it was these companies would go into the prisons 6-12 months before people got released, and they had to be serving time for certain things, nonviolent or whatever. But they'd come out, they'd be teaching construction while they were in. They'd come out, they'd get them into into general labor. They pay them actually. They get them on a contract. They were the employer of record. They put them out. There were rules, but the GCs got tax breaks for doing it.
Cool. That's very cool.
I thought it was a really great thing, but it really requires a lot of back office work and a lot of effort.
Okay.
Okay, that helps. So we're going to go, we're talking about a lot of stuff that might get a little proprietary. So we're going to go to our secret double probation and stop the streaming here for a second. So as always, I appreciate everyone joining. Let's see here. Thank you all for attending this sharing today, and those that watch later. Please like and subscribe and share the roundtable on social media or anywhere you can. Thank you for being part of the Recruiter Roundtable. We really appreciate it. Go to youtube.com at the Recruiter Roundtable for more videos. Check us out on LinkedIn at the Recruiter Roundtable. Legal Services Roundtable are provided by the offices of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. For topics, suggestions, questions, and more, email us at therecruiterroundtable@gmail.com. Remember, this podcast may contain information that's confidential, privileged, or unsuitable for overly sensitive persons with low self-esteem, no sense of humor, or rational religious beliefs. Thanks again for being part of this, being part of the Recruiter Roundtable. For Ernie Moreno and Kelly Nelson, I'm Tom Alacio. We'll see you next time on the Recruiter Roundtable. Till then, don't forget to smile and dial.
Thanks a lot. Talk to you later, guys.
We're out.
Bye, Dan.
So, yeah, I kind of wanted,